Hey guys, welcome in. I don't like this side. Oh my goodness, what are the odds? Welcome in, guys. How is life without how is life without TikTok, Chris? Tell me
I feel like
what the good what the good vibes are. Just waiting for more people and welcome in. Introduce yourselves, guys, if you're new here. Just got started. I'm so jealous. Welcome in, guys. I'm going live on, I'm sorry about the lighting, but I'm going live on TikTok and on YouTube at the same time. So what should we talk about today? Retooling my storytelling practice. Tell us more. If you're new here, we talk about creativity. I consider myself like a David Goggins, Rick Rubin, Joan of Arc, but for art. So I always jump on. I try to jump on once a week. I don't have a schedule yet, so forgive me. But yeah, if you can help us out, introduce yourselves in the chat if you're here on YouTube. I probably will be able to answer the YouTube questions a little bit easier, but I don't know, we'll see. But if you can help me out with a little bit of likes, my whole vibe is talking about creativity. Yeah, just helping people with their questions about creativity, mindset stuff, courage stuff, how to build a life around your art. A lot of what I talk about is creative maturity. And what does that mean? Like learning how to build a life that supports your art, like an adult. Learning how to approach your work with the maturity that creativity requires. Who is that? Julie, hey, how are you? What's going on, guys? So we're just waiting for, thank you for the likes. It helps a great deal. Welcome in, welcome in. It always takes about 5 minutes to get a good quorum, get some good questions going. I'm also starting summer school on Monday. I'm really excited about it. So if you have questions about that, I know a lot of people have been DMing me questions. Oh my gosh, how you doing? Destroyer of false prophets. Amen to that. So don't be shy if you're new, if you're on. I'm really good. I just moved to Mexico. I just took the L and moved away from New York City for a while. Just got here a week ago. But yeah, don't be shy, guys. If you have questions or if anyone wants to suggest a suggestion topic, if you're in TikTok live, let me know. I could use a moderator. Thank you, Zuby. I appreciate you too. And thank you for the likes. Do I have retreats out there? Not yet. That's going to come soon. Thank you so much. But what should we talk about? What's something that's been on my mind art-wise? That's a good question. A lot. There's always more on my mind about art than I know what to do with. What is on my mind? I did lose after you. I lost my guardian. I appreciate this question. What is on my mind these days? Personally, I'm thinking a lot about the body as it relates to creativity. That I always say this, that creativity is not chased or pursued, that creativity is hosted, that so many people, I think, are used to approaching their creativity from the perspective that they are broken. And that leaves us kind of chasing flow state, chasing an idea, chasing a result. But creativity is far more spiritual than that. And I think that a huge missing element in your, thank you, a missing element is the body. How many of you are stuck in your creativity, but your body's also a little stuck in some capacity. I think about, building a life around creativity, allowing your creativity to be the thing that makes all your decisions. I think so many people are used to their fears making their decisions, building a life around the fear of their art. You have these people in your network because you're afraid. You want this opportunity because you're afraid. You're trying to get this result because you're afraid. You're selling this and charging this for your art because you're afraid. But what is your creativity really asking, and do you know how to answer it? But yeah, hey, YouTube. YouTube is quiet. What's going on, guys? Chris said I posted a thing about privacy and anonymity. It's important in writing and reading. Say more. What do you mean privacy? Because I agree. And thank you for the likes, guys. The likes help. But yeah, what should we talk about today? Who has a question? For those of you who don't know, my name is Vanessa. I am an opera singer or writer. I'm a creativity consultant. I said a second ago, think of me like a David Goggins, Rick Rubin, but for your art. Rick Rubin, Joan of Arc, David Goggins for creativity. And I have an online school for artists, for adult artists, everything that I wish I learned in art school about how to approach your art, how to be an artist. Wisdom, I survey art, culture, world, religion, philosophy, mysticism, mythology, old shit for wisdom about the creative process. And yeah, I think that lighting is a little better actually. Do you believe identity is fueled by the creativity or the other way around? I don't really know the difference. What's the difference? What's the result? How is that different in the result? Oh, Demas, thank you. Creating a reimagined version of a cultural story. Any tips? I would need to know a little bit more before I give you some tips. Important for an artist to have privacy, like the writer not being able to know the reader and the reader not being able to know the writer. Yeah, I've learned a lot about that in my memoir writing journey, about the importance of the narrative voice. Chef, wanted your insight on artists who are struggling to fully commit to their art because I find myself going back into distracting habits. Any tips or actionable steps? It's a great question. Wanted your insight on artists who are struggling to fully commit to their art. That's a good question. Anyone relate to that? It would be helpful. Like, just drop an emoji, like raise your hand in the emoji or drop an emoji if you relate to that. That would be helpful to know. And thank you for the likes, guys. It really helps. I wanted your insight on artists who are struggling to fully commit. Yeah, I think that a lot of people feel that way. My question to you, as it is to everybody, Chef, is commit to what? What are you committing to? Hey, Heather. The question is, I'm having a hard time committing. A lot of people have a hard time committing, and then they also find that they're going back to old habits. Something that's really important in your language, it's a clue for you about how you're further along in this than you think you are. You already know that the habits are old, which should tell you that there's something new ready for you, there's something new that is ready for your commitment. There's something new that you need to pursue. and it's waiting for you to consent, to be obedient. Your responsibility as an artist is to get very clear on, oh, I'm so glad, Heather. Your responsibility as an artist, all of our responsibility, a mature artist responsibility, is to stop for a second and be like, man, this art thing requires my obedience at every step. And so if it's stuck, a mature artist has the responsibility and the skills and the support to prioritize listening to how art and the objective of art in their life, the purpose of art as it guides all of us. The objective of every human life is to be creative. What is the new objective of your art? A lot of people think that their artistry is like, okay, I'm a writer, and so then they're not writing. And I would wager that if you're an adult, if you've been at this for a few decades, that little non-specific idea of I'm a writer is not enough, because it's not. And that's what all the elders, that's what all the spiritual texts are about. That's what all the mythological stories about a rite of passage, about a coming of age are about, is that, man, the objective, the mission changes in some capacity. And so what is changing? What has changed? What is your art? Are you explicitly clear? And how can they do that for another if they haven't done it for themselves? Yes. I want your insight on artists who are struggling to fully commit. Can you identify what it is that you were meant to commit to? Because I can tell you that for every adult struggles with a non-specific goal. What are you trying to commit to? Yes, I know you want the experience of discipline and commitment, consistency, but an artist goes through a transformation journey just like every other creature on earth. Just like a caterpillar goes from caterpillar to butterfly. An artist's creative objective matures and changes over time, and given the influences and the experiences of their life and the inputs of the outside world. You are not creating in a vacuum, and you are not here to create for your own health. It helps your health, for sure. It absolutely helps your health and your vitality generally. But can you answer the question, what am I here to create? What am I really here to do? Anyone who goes through my classes, I don't care what class it is, if it's the 2-month summer school semester, if it's the Villain Challenge, which is 30 days, if it's something else, if it's a one-on-one with me, if it's a small workshop, everybody asks, you get this from the videos on me that are free. What is the high vision of your art? Do you know? It does not serve you, any of us, said another way, to relate to your art exclusively as if there's something wrong with you, as if you are the struggler, the more dignified, heroic, consistent in terms of precedent and within our species, the most consistent advice, wisdom, is that your creativity ripens and matures. In summer school, that's what we're doing. The summer school is, like I said this earlier, is everything. We start on Monday, June 15th. It's a 2-month kind of container within my community. Right now, there's about 30 or so people, maybe a little less. And we going to be hanging out together for 2 months with an objective. Everyone has an idea to move their creative project along. It doesn't have to be some fancy project. It could be something that you have an idea in the back of your head. But everybody starts where my classes always start. What is the high vision of your art? Getting focused. What is the high vision of your art? Who is your audience? And who are you as an artist? If you're not clear about those things, no wonder you're stuck. I have 3 different creative careers I'm currently working on right now. My chef channel, my writing, and I feel as though I'm a bit overwhelmed. Let me get to that one second. What do you do if you're angry with God or feel resentment? I saw your post on TikTok saying, yes, God is involved in your creativity, the same God you didn't believe in. Resent, yes. So your question is, I talk about spirituality a lot on my channel because creativity is spiritual, period. Period. It's wild to me that it's sad. I understand why. I don't blame anybody. I don't fault anybody. But we live in a society where we're completely stripped. We are completely godless as a species, at least in this part of the world. That the human soul endeavors towards creativity. And so this person is asking, what do you do if you're angry with God or feel resentment? One, chill, because everybody feels that way. It's God. You know what I mean? Not everybody has gone through some version of that. I'm Roman Catholic, and on the first page of the Doctrine of the Catholic Church, which is written in the Catechism, it's my favorite book. I have it right here. Page 1 of this thick-ass book, which I love. It's honestly riveting. If you struggle to understand Christianity, read this, because the Bible is a living document, and it opens, and it's alive, and it opens when it wants to, when you're ready. It's my favorite thing about it. But if you're just curious about some other things, or maybe you feel a little cringy going into the Bible, you certainly wouldn't be the only one. Read the Catechism. But anyway, what does it say on the first page? A couple of things that are really important. One, that faith is man's response to God. Faith in the common vernacular, in the undisciplined vernacular, is response to things unseen. Belief in things unseen. Maybe that's true in some regard, but the Catholic Church takes a very different stance. Very specific stance, I should say. Not necessarily that it's different, but it's that faith is man's response to God. What does that mean? However you respond to God, because it is God, is faith. That includes a season of anger, resentment. So to answer your question, which I would have to do in layers, what do you do if you find you're angry with God or feel resentment? Chill. It'd be really hard to live a full adult life without some anger, some confusion. Now, I personally can't advise you about what your resentment is because I don't know, and I'm really not qualified to sit in a position of authority to give advice. I can speak as a comrade. What do you do if you're angry with God or feel resentment? Tell him that. What would you do? Imagine, what would you do if you had the most loving father in the world? It's like, yeah, I know you can't stand me for that, but let's talk about it. I want to hear your perspective. If you can give yourself a little credit, said another way, if you can release the shame that having resentment about God is bad for some reason, why would it be bad? If you can let that go, give yourself some credit. Okay, all right, cool. I'm a little angry. I'm a little confused about this thing. I don't understand that. Why, God, are you like that? Why'd that happen? I'm confused. I'm mad at the bad actors, the hypocrites in the church. I'm upset that it seems so cringy, whatever. Why bad things happen, whatever. Allow yourself to occupy that space. I'm confused, man. I don't understand, man. And then give yourself the permission, do yourself the honor of developing that relationship, asking that question to God. That's one way. Hey, man, let's start this dialogue, man. I'm angry about this. Can you help me? Can you send me something? Can you comfort me? Can you reveal something? I'd like to move the needle on this. I don't like this. God is renewing my identity to creativity. Yes, imagine God the Creator renewing your relationship to creativity. What if that's the whole point of the human life? It's certainly what every tradition says that about their God, that God is the Creator in every tradition, in every language. They came up with that all on their own. Different languages, different cultures, separated by land, ocean, time. God is the Creator. That should say something about your creativity. In the beginning, God created. That's a big deal. That's a big deal. All the spiritual texts are spiritual advice. But what is spiritual advice for a human? It's advice about how to be creative. Yes, not all traditions had one God, but an aspect of God and expressed in every language includes creativity. I promise you that. Creativity, if you aren't challenged, you can't evolve. Creativity is a catalyst. I don't know. I believe that creativity is yeah, I see what you're saying. Creativity is an aspect through which we matriculate through this life, for sure. Hey, Nikki, how you doing? Sure, the god of water, the god of wine, the god of moss, etc. I think that's helpful. But for me personally, someone says someone likes the idea of multiple gods and deities. Sure, but I've reached the station in the video. I've reached the level in the video game where there is one God. And let me tell you how shocked and humiliating that is. I'm 38 years old and I became Catholic this year. And I was raised Protestant. Had no issues with it other than I found the community really cringy and didn't latch on. No issues with God, though. And then I kind of just departed it because I didn't really like church and felt uncomfortable in that space. And then did my survey according to my interests of various spiritual traditions and philosophy, different traditions, Eastern philosophies, indigenous stuff. Had a great time, no notes. And it helped me, brought me closer to myself. I learned. And then the journey keeps fucking going. And it's not up to you, I find, in my experience, and the things that I read, that the people who are really locked into this God thing in a way that you can really trust, in a way that doesn't kind of raise your eyes a little bit in your way, it's like, oh, that's cringy. But no, for someone who's really on this one God thing, and you're still cool with them, and they're still kind of like, man, what the fuck? Man, you really have found some peace. In my experience with those people and within myself, it's that the journey keeps going. That spirituality is meant to get you into one place. There's an end to the journey. The end of the journey is not what you want. It's not your preference. I think a lot of adults who profess one God have the experience of being like, damn, you're lying, humiliated. What a Catholic, what a Christian calls conviction. You've been convicted, where God has revealed himself to you in a way that you can't argue with, even though you really would like to. Because who wants to be a cringy Christian? Nobody wants that on the planet. Nobody wants that. Nobody wants that. Not even the original Christians, Peter. Not even Jesus himself wanted that. Man, they're not going to like me, and this is whack, man. Take this from me, Lord, I don't want this. They're about to kill me. Nobody wants that. But then you reach a point in the video game where it's like, damn, this motherfucker is real. And it's the greatest day of your life. It's the greatest day of your life. Because you can rest. You're like, man, I don't have to be afraid of this thing being real. There's no aspect of me that is excluded. There's no aspect of me that I have to get right. The question is answered, or at least some of the questions for now. And it's helpful for real. And it's real. It's not, it's you reach this place of like spirituality and God being real and not things that are helpful, useful, truisms, helpful advice, quotes, good practices, and you know, it's not a camp that you're in. It's not a team sport. You get past that, and then you're like, damn, God is real and loves me, and I'm shocked because I'm full of shit. And I spent the last 35 years resisting it, being angry about it, being confused, being led astray. Does that make sense? Anyway, what other questions do we have? I always wondered, in most religions, God is a man. What is your perspective on that? Sometimes I get stuck on that because I believe God is genderless, but I don't believe that God is a man. I'm Catholic, so I believe in the Trinity and have experienced it. It's not that I believe in it because that's something I read and that's how I was raised, and that's just what I'm doing. I went far away from Christianity and got, when a mom kitten picks up the kitten by the scruff of their neck, and the kitten's just like sitting there. That's what happened to me. And I'm like, you're lying. Whoa. So in my personal belief, I believe in the Trinity, that God is three things: God the Father, God the Son, and God the Holy Spirit. Do I believe that God is genderless? Of course. Like, what do you mean? How could God have a gender? God the Son was a man. God the Holy Spirit, at least in Catholicism, has the feminine quality. It's referenced as she in some parts of the Bible, the Holy Spirit. Most people don't know that. But yeah, God is genderless. Yeah, because it's God. Like, what do you mean? You know what I mean? Came as man, but only to relate to humanity. Of course, he's genderless, but he's God. Yeah. Let me read you more about this. Let me ask you a question. This is helpful for me. You can be honest. You know how there's like those annoying type of Christians who you feel uncomfortable about, and they're like going to go start wars and be homophobic and judge you. The way I talk about God, this is an honest question. You can be honest. Do I give you that vibe? I'm asking for that data, so you can be honest. Have I read the book of Enoch? Parts of it, yeah. Have you read the book of Romans? That's something that's always interesting to me when people talk about the Bible and Christianity. There's this tendency to leap to the Apocrypha or to the interpretations of what God is or what Christianity is. For example, Jesus was just a political prisoner, a socialist political prisoner, and I'm a Marxist, so there's nothing against that. But again, guys, my advice as a comrade in this journey, as a peer, someone who respects the fact that this journey to God is confusing. It is the most confusing, most important question in all of our lives, even if you insist that it's not. I would encourage you, and I don't want to even say that. I'm not trying to encourage you as if you're doing it wrong. I just want to say you can look forward to some mysterious event, moment, series of events, encounter, totally shattering this tendency within you to shatter your subjective understanding of what God is, what you want God to be. For example, people say, well, to me, God is source. God is oneness. God is just love. That's all lovely stuff. And it's not wrong. And that's where you are. But I'm saying, man, that the human soul, especially the modern soul, but the soul in general, is on a journey to discover objectivity, the objectivity of God, not the subjective interpretation. You can look forward to God becoming more and more real, regardless of your desire. Yeah, thank you, guys. Please don't forget to. Simone Weil is one of my favorite writers. And I appreciate the likes, if you can keep them coming. I started talking about God and all the people in the chat left. We can talk about creativity. Do you think spirits are confused of a God? I don't understand your question. I think it's a good question. I just don't understand it. Alex, what are you saying? Not your boy? What do you mean? Oh, congratulations, Sora. Alex, can you repeat it? I didn't see it. And as always, I appreciate your likes, shares, comments, support. I'm a one-woman show on a mission. Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, do you think the Trinity is patriarchal? Mary Magdalene, Mary, and the goddess archetype is removed from the modern day Bible. It was changed source instead of father. I really love this question as much as I'm frustrated by it. So let me try to answer it. Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, do you think the Trinity is patriarchal? No. Do I think the Trinity is patriarchal? Not even slightly. Not even slightly. And I mean that with my full chest, and I'll try my best to explain God be with me as I try. Do I think that humanity is patriarchal? Of course. Of course. Do I think humans have fallen into patriarchy? Yes. Do I think that the Trinity itself, as it is, as a fact and fixture of the cosmos, is patriarchal? Not even a little bit. Not even slightly. There's a modern fascination, a modern fascination with the Magdalene that I think is reflective of the modern soul's desire to find balance within patriarchy. I do not think that patriarchy is germane to actual spirituality. It is a feature of institutions because institutions are entangled with human social structures. But as I said earlier, the Holy Spirit is the feminine face of God. Let's also touch grass a little bit on the definitions of masculine and feminine. In some conversations, in some contexts, masculine is oriented towards men, gender, body part. And feminine is oriented towards gender, performance, body part, sexual capacity, etc. But there are the larger spiritual understandings of the words masculine and feminine that are more like yin and yang. It's receptivity. Do I believe that the Holy Spirit has female genitalia? No. But largely, I've said this before, that you know how in the Bible and Christians say don't create false idols? I want to break that down a little bit because I think it's really important to answering this question. That the idea that people think is don't worship things that aren't God. Sure. I think that's generally good advice. I don't care who you are. I think it's good advice. But then we get into this, like the idolatry. What is idolatry? And people think it's like golden statues. Back in the day, when that law was, when that new law just dropped. Don't idolize. Okay, cool. Because that wasn't a law before, and now it was. And then it became one back in the Moses days. What was happening? Why did that law happen? Because humanity as a species in its development, as it evolves, ascends in its capacity, we know intuitively that we're kind of among the more remedial species. Back in the day, we didn't have the capacity to commune with God super directly. We were dependent on God coming to us through prophets, through signs, through miracles and stuff like that, that God was kind of behind this is very complex, but I don't want to lose the plot. Idolatry is not a law like, I don't like it when you have gold statues. I don't like that. That's not what it is. What it is a warning from a benevolent father, from a loving father. Be careful about confusing me, God, inside of other things. Be careful. You're going to hurt yourself. For example, yes, I created the trees. But if you worship the trees, for example, mistaking that tree for me, you're going to get hurt. Because I talk to you and I want a relationship with you and I'm involved. You know what I mean? Imagine idolatry is kind of like, read the warning label and the fine print on the contracts that you sign before you sign them. It is dangerous to confuse something that isn't God for God. That's what idolatry is. Now, to answer the question, going back to this masculine and feminine, there's a lot of controversy, especially within Christianity, about patriarchy. Christianity's patriarchal. The question was, do you think the Trinity is patriarchal? And I said, absolutely the fuck not. Absolutely not. No. Do I think people are? Yes. But this is something that is related to that idolatry thing. The danger in this question, in our journey to God, is that we can stop because we project our subjective understanding about our experiences. So, for example, if I have an absent father, or if I live in a world where a king is patriarchal and abusive and exploitive, idolatry would be projecting that subjective understanding. For example, again, if I have a bad relationship with my father or with men or rulers or kings, I project that understanding onto God. I'm assuming that because my experience with rulers is that they are mean and unfair and patriarchal, I'm assuming that God is the same way. So do I think that the Trinity is patriarchal? No. Not even slightly. God, and then the Catholic Church is extremely clear about this. Very clear. Consistently clear. This hasn't even been debated once in the history, the 2,000-year history of the church, that men and women are given equal dignity. Period. That men and women are given equal dignity. Period. Just because a priest is the one giving the homily and running mass doesn't mean that and because he makes certain decisions doesn't mean that he has more dignity than the role of a woman in a church. The fact that women can't do certain roles does not mean that the church thinks less of them. And in fact, in the Catholic Church, the priest who's doing confession and doing mass every single Sunday, that's the dirty work. Someone imagine hearing confession every single day. That's literally is the cleaning out the toilets. Mary, the Mother of God, is the Queen of the universe. You ever go to a Catholic church and you see a bunch of priests in a room and you see a Mother Superior walk in the room and they're going to start shaking in their boots? Men and women have equal dignity under God and in the division of labor within the teachings of the church, with the organization of the church. Do human beings within the church fuck that up? Left and right. Left and right. A woman could never be pope. How is that equal? The question is not equal. What is your definition of equal? I don't know that we're having the same definition of equal. The question is equal dignity. You're assuming that the pope has elevated dignity. And so therefore, because a woman can't do it, she does not have access to that dignity. You are assuming that the pope is someone like that of the President of the United States, where they are higher and better, or you're assuming meritocracy within the ascension of rank within the Catholic Church. That if you're up here, that means you're better. If you're a pope, that means you sin less, that you're stronger, that you're better. That's not what a pope is. The pope is the lowliest. The pope is the servant. Can you imagine? Anyone, do you know what a pope is? Do you know what his function is? Is this boring? I keep losing followers on TikTok. We can talk about creativity back in a second, but I love this stuff because I do think it's related to creativity. I think that a spiritual question is a creative question is undone and answered by a spiritual question. That's what the Bible is about. That's what every spiritual text is about. The Tao, the Tao Te Ching, the Yoga Sutras. They're all to help you with your creative journey. I love that film. Thank you, Blue Sky. But then why are women treated as second-class citizens in religious society? Who is who? Look, one, because people, that's not true all the way. I'm a Catholic woman. You can ask me, do I feel like I am a second-class citizen? No. And in fact, my femininity is no more, there's no other place where my femininity is more celebrated and respected. But this is what I'm saying, Alex. Be careful about the anecdotes that you project onto the truth of what it is. Now, I'm happy to engage with your question. Why are women treated as second-class citizens in religious society? Now, that's true because there's patriarchy, not religion. Give me an example, Alex. What do you mean? That isn't patriarchy. I'll give you an example. Early Catholic Church. I think in early humans, 1,000 years ago, if we think about the division of labor between men and women, I think everybody on the planet would agree with, and they would be right to agree about the fact that back in the day, women had a tough break. Just having babies, couldn't do anything, couldn't sign documents, couldn't vote, disrespected, no autonomy of their bodies, nothing like that. But what was happening in the Catholic Church 1,000 years ago, 1,500 years ago? What was happening? Women who would ordinarily, in normal society, in secular society, would be dead in childbirth after their 15th child at the age of 26. A young woman would be able to go to a convent and learn how to read, write, cook, create art, become fluent in languages, have an influence in society, in culture, in healing people, and learning medicine, and having a responsibility in society, in their community, in their village. The Catholic Church has been venerating women as saints for thousands of years. Saint Catherine of Siena was a nun, and she was one of the most influential Catholics in Italy during that time. Catholic Church has provided a space of dignity and also for the lion's share of the species, not necessarily this brand new bubble of being alive where women, for the first time in the history of the species, are given access to college and money and voting rights. That's brand new in our species, our 400,000-year-old species. That's new. The lion's share of women who have, the lion's share of people on the planet have always been poor. Always. The lion's share of the people on the planet right now are poor. The Catholic Church has always been an instrument for the large part, an instrument of social progress for women. Always. And has always been their goal and their objective. Yes, I don't disagree with you. I'm not saying the Catholic Church is the only place where this has happened. But I'm saying religion, your question is, women are given roles that are important. They're different than the roles of men. And I don't know that there's anything necessarily wrong with that. I also believe that it changes over time. How has been your relationship between decolonization and creativity within your move to Catholicism prior to that move? Walk us through the journey. I'm not understanding your question. I'm happy to answer it. I just don't understand your question. I feel creatively lost because I paint, but I also want to sculpt and make jewelry. Why does that mean you were lost? I think a lot of people have the idea that because they're multi-hyphenate, that there's something wrong with them. It's an embarrassment of riches, perhaps. This is again, I mean, kind of pivoting away from the spirituality talk, but bridging it. Why do you assume that the way you are is wrong? I don't necessarily mean that about you, but I'm talking generally to the people who feel, there's a lot of people who feel that there's something wrong with them because in some way, deep down, there's something wrong with them because they're multi-hyphenate. I can't focus on this. I feel stuck because I have this interest and that interest and this and blah, blah, blah. That's one, just from not talking about creativity or spirituality, but just from an economic perspective. All of us are exposed in this social and economic landscape to 15,000 things. If you scroll away from my live, you're going to see someone eating lobster with their feet. You're going to see some botany nerd talking about botany. You're going to see someone talking about gardening. You're going to see someone talking about motherhood. We are exposed to many things. So it's almost impossible for someone to not have more than one interest. Someone having more than one interest, especially in relation to art, was a feature of the economic landscape where people only had time, energy, technology, and there was only the economic motive to become an expert craftsman, an artisan in one trade. That was still available even for our grandparents' generation, where our grandparents worked at one company for 40 years before they died, before they retired, whatever it was. We can't do that. Everybody needs at least 4 incomes to pay the rent. So that's a feature of the economic landscape, that you have more than one interest. You need to have more than one interest so you can pay the bills. So there's nothing wrong with that. I think a lot of people are paralyzed in their multi-hyphenate nature because they think there's something wrong with having more than one interest. Coming back to the spirituality thing, man, imagine God making a mistake. Imagine that. There's something wrong with me because I went out for the first 20 years, I was a writer, but now I'm kind of interested in filmmaking. I must be broken. That's crazy. That's crazy. How arrogant. How arrogant. Low key. Low key. Man. How old are you with your more than one interest? 25? 35? Imagine thinking that your work is done. No, again, that's the pressure of the economic landscape. Everyone has to be posture, pretend, fake, being an expert at one thing so somebody can trust them and buy them so that they can pay their rent every single fucking month. Every single month it's due, the rent. It's madness. So that pressure to be good at one thing is an economic motive. But God gave you, God the creator, the architect of the cosmos, Lord Krishna, whatever you want to say, creativity itself, Lord Krishna in the Hindu tradition. Imagine God making a mistake. A flower has pink petals, but also green leaves. That flower is equally pink and green. Imagine that flower being like, I'm starting to become pink. How is my mind colonized? My mind is not colonized. How has what I just said about being multi-hyphenate and the economic motive? I'm a Marxist, very disciplined Marxist. How with me talking about the shame, Alex on TikTok thinks that I'm being colonial in my thinking. That's not true. How is me encouraging somebody to touch into their nature and to love themselves as unconditionally as God loves them, to embrace and to undergo the almost the ayahuasca level courage, to embrace all aspects of themselves, despite the economic motive, the patriarchal, free market, capitalistic motive to be good at one thing and to sell yourselves as quickly and as sloppily as you can. How is that a colonial mind? Respectfully, I would say you just met me, Alex. And I don't go out of my way to see it, Chris, to flaunt my pedigree. You assume that I haven't asked these questions myself. I find it ironic, someone explaining to me my own relationship with God, what's wrong with it, that I'm colonial, that I'm colonized. I think that's ironic. You telling me how I should and should not feel about God. It's wild work. But I welcome it because I believe that everyone is just aspiring and asking a question. And I believe that God is confusing. I already heard, you heard me say this an hour ago, that God is genderless. Anyway, who else has a creativity question? Luis, can you Luis on YouTube, can you rephrase your question for me? I want to answer it. I'm not sure I understand it all the way. And further, I have been assigned by God to do and say things. And it's to help people feel like they can ask their questions and feel seen in their journey to know God, which is oftentimes experienced through creativity. And I will not tolerate someone trying to distract and incite confusion. I do welcome rigorous, honest discussion, confusion, someone needing help with their spiritual journey. Do I believe that creativity is innately feminine? I think it has both sides. What did I mean by knowing my high vision? The high vision is coming from a thesis of mine, a translation from many theses of elders, old philosophy. The high vision is a question that, what is the high vision of your art? It's a question that, well, let's do an exercise. My art forces me to be a whistleblower. Yes. You're welcome, Calm Capital. Before I answer your question, there's one more thing on my heart, Highway Cowboy. There's one more thing on my heart. Please, everybody, at least on TikTok, be sensitive to, grow, increase your discernment around things that come to distract you and pull you out of a sincere spiritual quest. You don't deserve somebody forcing their ideas on you, not even from me. But nor does your very tender, your important journey spiritually deserve you to withstand somebody to pull you off of your question. And I'm always going to be firm. Because you're not going to pull me off. That's done. You could shoot me dead in the face, and I'm not going to walk back from these ideas. I mean, from the basics. I might learn a couple things. I might need to stumble, and might need to be humbled and be like, damn, I was wrong a little bit. But man, God is real. You could strike me down, and I wouldn't walk back from that. Anyway, okay, so let's go back to highways, cowboy, your question. How do you know the high vision of your art? The question gets the point of the question, one, as a foundation to answering your question, is that creativity has certain raw materials, certain bare bones, pillars. And an artist, and through that journey, and in that process, an artist goes through a journey. The journey, as echoed in all the spiritual texts, has two big category seasons. There's a coming of age, there's a before and after, a BC and an AD, a spiritual awakening, an enlightenment, a being born again. There's a before and an after. The after is an ontological shock, shocking you into a permanent perspective shift on your relationship to something critical. Ontological shock. Fuck, something just changes your mind. Remember what people say on the internet instead of changed my brain chemistry? Ontological shock. Fuck. Damn, I see the world totally differently now. The ontological shock, germane to the creative process, is the shift from thinking about creativity as it relates to you and how you feel and what you want and what you have to say and how you relate to the world and how you feel about your experiences and what you want for your creativity. Then something happens, or a series of things happen. The great myths refer to this mythologically, symbolically, archetypally, as the coming of age. The boy becomes a man. The young moisture farmer becomes a Jedi, etc. The young computer programmer becomes the one, Neo in the Matrix. High vision of your art is a question that I ask my students. It forces you into that ontological shock, going from thinking about creativity, from what you want. What do you want to say? How do you want your career to go? Who do you want to speak to? To asking the question, what does art want with you? Art, this primordial force, entity, feature of the cosmos, here before you were born and will be here after you were died. Art, for whom there were temples born in temples erected in traditional society. So the question is, what is the high vision of your art? Does anyone want to try to answer that question as an exercise? Yes, it would. It absolutely would, Romero. What is the high vision of your art, everybody? Try to answer in the chat. I'm going to demonstrate highway. This is something that we do for the first 2 weeks in summer school. I start this on all of my calls, all my workshops with all my clients and students. What are these pillars that every artist needs to know to consider themselves? Once you're in that second half, again, caterpillar, butterfly, and a human being goes through the same transformation and it's at the soul level. That's why I insist that a creative needs spiritual undergirdle, needs a spiritual undergirdle. What is the high vision of your art? Everyone try to answer the question. To make a difference in society? Question mark? Question mark. Fun? Who wants the greetings and salutations? Hello. What is the high vision of your art? Communicate other without words, okay? What else? What else we got? Embodiment, to show humanity itself plainly and wholeheartedly as an actor, theater. Now this is good. Now I want to take all of your answers to be a tonic that gives people the energetic resonance with their highest self. Now, I would wager, guys, this is what I'm saying about creative maturity. This is the thing that we really massage when you work with me, but we can try to do our best here. But I do encourage you to think about summer school. This is how I talk when it's free for the most part, since imagine what I'm like in a classroom setting. Love, hope, devotion, healed by light. Let's take, who wants me to use theirs as an example? Thank you. Y'all with these artists, these high visions of your art with question marks after it are killing me. I'm going to get to that in a second. Wicked. Okay, where's yours? Repeat it. Who wants me to use theirs as an example? Wicked, go ahead. Simon, you got to repeat it. The chat's coming fast. Okay, here's one. No, Nasi? I don't know if that's right. High vision of your art. Someone from YouTube has said to invoke change, to think beyond what is, and to create a new world. Someone else said embodiment. And here's my point. Embodiment of what? And why? You can do better than that. There's a more specific answer. If you really lock into, this is what I'm saying, creativity is spiritual. If you lock into the agreed fact that you are unconditionally loved and given elevated dignity above all creatures in the cosmos, that you are creative and God is the creator, that means, man, you were given motherfucking permission. You were given outrageous permission. In Catholicism, we call it free will. You were given so much motherfucking permission, authority. You are allowed to paint and use and do and say and express whatever, knowing that you are unconditionally loved, knowing that you are held unconditionally by a benevolent God that wishes to use you to help other people. You're going to tell me, what's the high vision of your art? Some people say, I want to be a New York Times bestseller. Man, what? That's the highest vision. That's as high as the vision gets. Lofty, specific, creative, intentional, multidimensional, weird, autistic. That's all you got. That's not true. Your life has been a curriculum this whole time for something specific as fuck. And I challenge all of you to take out this verbiage that you heard from some other thing. Not that it's wrong to be inspired, but I'm saying really challenge yourself to survey your feelings, your life. What have you been assigned? The question is, what is the high vision of your art? What is art seeing for you? What is art seeing? Capital A art, seeing on the planet, asking you to be a steward. Some people will say, to show humanity itself plainly. Okay, yes, Louise, what? To show itself plainly, what aspect are you showing? What does that mean, to show plainly? Why not complexly? Why is art telling you that showing humanity plainly is so important? What aspect are you displaying? And why? What's at stake? What happens after you display it? Louise on YouTube is an actor. Bring forth community. What type of community? What does the community feel like? Why? What happens after they have that specific type of community? What happens when people feel seen together in a space based on what specific things? What happens after that? That's what I'm saying. Go higher. Go higher. To show people that rock bottom is a spring forward connected transcendence. Tell me more about the rock bottom. What kind of rock bottom? Rock bottom, what kind of alcoholic rock bottom? Financial destitution rock bottom? What do you mean? Miracles are to come, and with you I leave remembrance of miracles. Yes, Angie. Angie is one of my students. I mean, what's at stake? The question is, what kind of question should I be asking in order to discover my artist statement? It's something we get into a lot in summer school. This lecture usually knocks people out. It's aggressive. But what's at stake? Why? Challenge. That's what I'm saying, guys. Remember the dignity that God gave you. You can say more. You have so much permission. You have so much permission. So much permission. I want to help people transcend. Man, transcend what? Fear of what? Do you see what I'm saying? And you wonder why you're stuck because you're like, what's the high vision? What's the thing motivating you? What's the North Star in your sky to transcend? I want to help. I want to be because I want to be used. Man, that's the definition of an artist. That's not the mission. That's not the assignment. God already said you are an artist, that every human being is creative. So that's already done. That was established when you were 3 years old. Tell me I'm wrong. You knew you were an artist at 3. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong. Now you forgot, had other things, got distracted, didn't believe in yourself, didn't have encouragement, didn't have money, didn't have resources, had other obligations, had kids, got injured, got depressed, whatever. But I'm saying at 2 years old, you knew you were creative. Tell me I'm wrong. So what's the purpose of your, well, I want to help people feel. Man, of course, duh, no shit. Now, what is the thing? Does this answer that? Does this help, guys? A high vision of your art? You can say more. Now tell me you're not excited about the fact, man, that's right. Let me get specific, actually. Does that not make you feel better? Is that not thrilling in a primordial way, in a primal sense? Is that not thrilling to you? Man, I can say more. Overcome what? I want to help people overcome something. Why? And what type of overcome? Are you going to comfort them there? Are you going to guide them? Are you going to illuminate the path? Are you going to be a fire? Are you going to be a blade? Are you going to be, you see what I'm saying? What is your art going to do? That's what I'm saying. And this is not against you guys. I'm so wildly on your side. But I need you to be encouraged. This malaise, this paralysis, this anemia, this flaccidity of like, oh yeah, what's your art, man? I want to help people feel seen. Man, feel and see seen it. How? What specifically? Embody growth to come back to self after losing yourself. From my work, showing people the importance of imagination. What is the importance of imagination? Now you can keep going. What's the importance of tell explicitly what is the importance of imagination? What does imagination do? Explain it to me as if you so the question forces you to listen to art as if you are an obedient steward, not to rest within your own subjective, limited understanding. Listen, ask, man, what do you want from me? Help people imagine. Okay, imagine what and why? What does it do? And if you listen carefully, you'll get the codes, man. You're going to get the codes. You're going to get all the codes of the universe, and you're not going to have to ask and search for it. You're not going to have to go into an ice bath and heal your trauma and buy another book. All you have to do, because God is the creator and you're creative, all you're going to have to do is acknowledge that you are being unconditionally loved and intimately guided by this massive force that we call creativity in this cosmos. Man, what else do you want from me? Boom, you're going to get an answer, I promise you. I promise you. To embody growth. What kind of growth? Do you want people to grow in height? Grow financially? Grow spiritually? What kind of growth? And in what conditions do we grow? No, I don't mean instinct. I don't mean instinct at all. I mean obedience, listening, developing a relationship with sentient creativity, this mysterious, alive being in the universe. That's what I mean. I don't mean instinct. Because your instincts must sharpen and grow. You reach lateral limits. What does a human being do when they reach the limits of themselves? Man, you got to ask for help from the source. You see what I'm saying? To show people with music and visual arts that our mind is the most powerful tool as humans have, but the way we use it matters more. How must we use it? You see what I'm saying? However, y'all stop yourselves. You stop yourselves, and I'm on your side. I'm on your side. You stop yourselves. To show people with music and visual arts that our mind is the most powerful tool we have as humans, but the way we use it matters more. How must we use it? Go straight there. You see what I'm saying? Man, say something crazy. Say something crazy. Disentangle yourself from the generalized, agreed upon colloquialism, and be obedient to what your life must do, brand new in the moment with your life, your unique ass life. Want to help people be seen. Man, say something specific. See you later, Luis. Thank you for being here. Why does it have art block? Why does it? I don't understand your question. Emmanuel, how are you? Go higher, go higher, go higher, go higher. There is a sense of altitude, and it changes you cellularly to change your perspective. Experiences for people with a mixed identity in order to help them navigate. Okay, so this is another good example of the same fucking thing, and I say this with love. Great cinematic experiences. Cinematic experiences. So the question is not, who are you as an artist? The question is, what is the high vision of your art? I have people with mixed identity. This is it's beautiful what you've written. It's written. Everybody thinks that this is great. If you read this, I create cinematic experiences, films, etc., audio media for people with mixed identity in order to help them navigate as a complete human being. That's a great idea. Everyone's like, drop the link. We want to know. But I say, go higher. Mixed race is a matrix term. That's a sociological term. It's not a spiritual term. What does it mean? What do you mean, mixed race? What does that mean? I know what the word means. But what does it feel like to be? This is the next. What does it feel like to be mixed race? What does it feel like? What's the emotion? Do you have experience with that yourself? Have you seen other people struggle with that? What does it feel like? Man, it feels confusing. It feels lonely. It feels isolating. Can you get more specific with what it feels like? Can you actually tell me what it feels like? Is it cold? Is it warm? Is it green? Is it sharp? Does it toggle? Is it wavy? Is it woozy? What does it feel like? If you ask yourself what it feels like to be your audience, you're going to find a whole other universe. How to channel a cunning, smart, calculative character when I'm none of those? Why would you need to do that if that's not who you are? Why would you need to channel that if you're not that? What's wrong with being dull, stupid, and whatever? What's wrong with that? Be who you are. And then ask someone else who's cunning for help. To face my traumas and addictions by working on my inner self daily is intensely painful shadow work, and also where I experience the Holy Spirit so I understand how to serve others. Fran, is that the high vision of your art? I don't know if that's a question. Feels listless, out of place, like you are standing on quicksand and you don't know how to get to safety. No, that's an answer. No, that's an answer, Maris. So you create for people who feel like they're standing on quicksand and they don't know how to find safety. That's an answer. That's specific. You see what I'm saying? Listen to the before and after on this. I create some cinematic experiences for people of mixed race identity. And I'm like, can you put some feeling into it? And then they said 30 seconds later, people who feel out of place, standing like they're standing on quicksand. I create art for people who feel like they're standing on quicksand and you don't know how to get to safety. Now that's an answer. That's specific and it's universal. Mixed race, yeah, I'm mixed race. Okay, cool. Yeah, I'd love to see that film. That sounds interesting. But if you talk to me, if you speak the truth to me, yes, mixed race, but what about it? What aspect of it? The struggles to find the right shade of concealer? No, actually, I create art for the feelings of listlessness, the feeling of being constantly out of place, like you're standing on quicksand and you don't know how to get to safety. That's an answer. And I promise you, People hearing that can feel it when I say the difference. Can you feel the difference in your body? Can you feel the difference in your body? Reading the two different things? You're not on TikTok, but I'll read it. Yep, felt that. And that's what we're here to do, aren't we, as artists? Make people feel something. Emmanuel said, yeah, I felt that. That's what we're here to do. So you gotta do the work to get in them guts and answer the question for real. So in summer school, and guys, I would appreciate any support you guys can give would be helpful. I think you guys can tell that I'm not wasting your time. So any support you can give. Summer school starts on the 15th. If you can't do that, a little help helps. It really does. In summer school, what we cover is the first, there's about 5 modules for 2 months of summer. The first one is getting clear on the basics, these raw materials, these pillars, high vision of your art. And I promise you, you can go higher and higher and higher and higher and higher and higher and higher. And with the higher you go, the more, it's like you find a higher altitude and then you find this whole new canvas. And you're suddenly not stuck because you're thinking with as much and behaving with and being responsible to the dignity that God gave you. And so then your shit's going to start flying because you have to realize what your dignity is and you have to safeguard it and act on it every single day. Acting beneath your dignity is a problem, and that's why you're stuck. This is a spiritual concept. But in the first module of 5, we get everyone to get higher. It takes about 2 weeks. Highest vision of your art, understanding who your audience is and what is the message, how to hit them in the guts. If you're trying to, for example, if you're an adult artist and you don't know who the fuck your audience is, man, brother, of course you're stuck. Because who and what are you writing for? You're not just here to masturbate with art. You're here to save somebody's fucking life. Man, I've been so stressed. And then I saw somebody's painting of a water lily and I forgot the whole point, but now I remember. Thank you, art. I heard that song and it reminded me it made me feel better about being heartbroken for these last 10 years. That's what you're here to do. So you have to have your audience. So the first 2-week module, high vision of your art. Who is your audience? Who the fuck are you? That's the most important question. Who are you? I'm a writer. That ain't the answer. That's not the answer. Your answer is also not I'm someone who was traumatized. Man, same. That's not the answer either. Who is the person doing the art? Thank you so much. Thank you both for giving me little gifts on YouTube. I feel it like a little girl every single time. This is really strange, putting your ass out there online and then people being grateful for it. It's a really crazy feeling. High vision of your art. Who is your audience? What's your talent? Do you know what your talent is? I'm a writer. Man, stop saying that basic shit. Stop saying that capitalism nonsense. What's your talent? Writing. Man, stop. And who are you? Who are you? E. Cummings says, I am someone who can never be born enough. I am not most people, this poet. Poet E. Cummings says, I am someone who can never be born enough. If most people were to be born twice, they would probably call it dying. But I am not most people. I can never be born enough. E. Cummings says, in old age, I will be someone who whispers to those near him when my hands will no longer hold a paintbrush. May I whisper to somebody near me, tie it to my hand, is who I am. My personal vision, who am I? You come into the room with me before you leave, you will feel less alone. You will feel seen in something. You will feel seen inside of a secret. is who I am. I promise you, you're not alone. I have lived a life where the world, where my story, my matrix adventure so far is that I'm alone. I say this in all my calls and all my classes to most of my clients. But I lost everybody in my family. Every Aldrich, that's my last name, Aldrich. Every Aldrich is gone. They died in 1 year. It was hell. I was 21 years old. There's not an Aldrich I can call, and there hasn't been for some time. Every holiday, every big event. Who can I call? Man, no one, except for someone my age who has no idea what we're doing. But when I say I know for a fact that we're not alone, you're going to feel that. Even if you spend an hour with me, you're going to feel that. That's who I am. That's my artist statement. What is the high vision of your art? Who is your audience? What is your talent? What is your artist statement? You need to know what those things are. And don't you dare let the matrix define it for you. Don't you dare let the matrix define it for you. If you've let the matrix define all those things for you, no wonder you're stuck. No wonder you're stuck. I'm a writer. Or how about this? Who are you? Well, my mom died and I've been through a lot of trauma. Man, that ain't the answer. Now, did not to say that stuff isn't important, but there's a deeper answer. So that's module 1 of 5 this summer. The structure of summer school is that there's 5 modules with me, between 4, about 2 to 3 hour lectures with me. There's also 4 office hours with me in summer school. So if you need help, ask an additional question, if you want some specific coaching, there's just like group office hours. So that's 8. That's about 1, 2, 3, 4. That's about 12 hours. And then in alternating weeks, there's group work. So I have TAs that do group work. So the different modules are this first one that I've told you. The second one is spirituality, spiritual warfare, specifically how to understand yourself, how to understand how, if art serves God, something is attacking your art. If your art serves God in some way and God serves your art, frankly, something's attacking and sabotaging your art. And you got to know that, because I cannot allow anybody around me to think that they're broken, because that's absurd. Oh, I'm broken. Something wrong with me. Where? How? Imagine how arrogant to think that God fucked up with you, or that you fucked up somehow in a permanent, in a cosmic sense. Oh, I'm behind. How? Imagine a flower feeling like they're behind. That's weird. But you spend a lot of time all day being afraid, feeling paralyzed. And we got to talk about spiritual warfare. My spiritual director, when my work got serious, I had to get a spiritual director to keep me accountable to my clients. So it's not just me talking bullshit. It's not just me saying what I think, because that's not how this works. I can't just say what I think. If I say what I think, I'm going to do my best to say this is my opinion, or this is my experience. But if I promise and endeavor to teach what is consistent, I got to have supervision. And so they call that a spiritual director. Thank you so much, Highway Cowboy. That means a lot. Thank you for the gifts, guys. Anyway, my spiritual director is an exorcist. I had to get a very serious director. I mean, one of my former ones was. If you guys do not think that evil, in the non-generic metaphorical sense, in the real sense, if you do not think that evil is coming for your ass every single day, you're going to get fried. You're going to get fried. The way that evil, imagine that. If God is the creator and you haven't created in a long time, we got to talk about why. Maybe you're under attack. Alex, you can keep trying, but I have time and energy. Alex is going to tell me that I'm colonial, that I've been colonized in my mind for saying that evil is attacking your creativity. How is that colonized? Tell me where in the Spanish, Dutch, American, French, or British colonial hegemony the idea that evil attacks creation itself. For saying that the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit are matriarchal. Where did I say that? When did I say that? Anyway, the third module is body of work. There's this principle that is inside of all of in my classrooms, that creativity is not chased or pursued. Chasing or pursuing creativity is fear-based, as if you are not unconditionally loved. Creativity is hosted, and it is hosted by the body. I don't care who you are. Creativity is hosted by the body. Anytime you sit to do creativity, your body is doing it. I know that eats people up. People forget that. They think it's their special talent or their resources or their abilities or their specialness or their merit or their goodness. Nah, man, it's your body. Your eyes see the watercolors. Your hands paint. They type. They dance. Your body does the dancing. Your body supports creativity more than it supports any other function in the world. Every function in the body is oriented towards creativity, either the creation of life or the creation of art, or both. I mean, that was an hour ago, Alex. It's odd. Just as I was talking about spiritual warfare, trying to tell me that I'm colonized. Tell me how I'm colonized. What you said about not creating anymore is where I'm at. Yeah, imagine feeling like there's something wrong with you because you're not creating anymore. Shakespeare has been dead for 500 years. We still do think of him as creative. I'm creative when I sleep. You sure as hell better believe that I was creative for those 10 years that I couldn't move a muscle because I was so overcome with grief. Man, I was learning about life. I was becoming fluent. There's nothing wrong with you. Now you are sufficiently human. And now you can write about it. By remedial, I mean, so Alex in TikTok thinks that I'm being colonized in my mind by saying that humans intuitively know that we are in some ways remedial. Let me unpack that. Remedial, meaning limited, bound by our flesh, by the five senses. The eyes can only see red, orange, yellow, green, blue, and purple. Yes or no? Really, the eyes can only see red, yellow, and blue, white and black. Yes or no? But there's millions of colors. That's what I mean. That we are limited in some aspects by what our senses can produce. Our minds further operate on linear intellectual channels. The mind, the neural processes in the mind are linear. They're on channels. The body, however, is more like the spiritual functions, which are multidimensional, sacred and geometric, complex, non-linear. So there's aspects of us as humans, though we are supernatural in our nature and we do have extraordinary capacity and we do have utmost dignity, we are limited, we are bound by the fleshy meat sack, is what I mean. Right, but you're the only one who is insisting that I'm colonial. I've been colonized. So do I. Anyone else have a question other than wanting to test if if my mind is colonized? So summer school, I'm going to drop in YouTube a discount code for YouTube for summer school. Let me see what it is. I forgot. I just made it. Thank you for the likes, guys. I really appreciate it. And the gifts on YouTube. It all helps a great deal. You guys watching the World Cup, by the way? Yeah, I'll pull it up right now. Nope. Summer school. YouTube friends, you get 15% off. YouTube friends for the link in my bio called Summer School. YouTube friends, if somebody wants to type that and pin it, that would be great. YouTube friends. So the modules, again, we got the high vision, all of that. Spiritual warfare, talking about the body, talking about the body, the artist as an athlete, and talking about involving your body in your creativity according to the ancient philosophies, okay? According to the old teachings, the Yoga Sutras, the old desert fathers, the old monks, the old warrior traditions, like the samurai, even the Jedi or the Bene Gesserit have body comportment rules. The NASA engineers, the really advanced mathematicians, NASA engineers, people doing these complex, these genius mathematicians, for example, they have rules. Like there's areas of, like in NASA, you can read about it in a book from Diana Pasulka called it's called Encounters, where she goes into like these big NASA scientists and nerds, and they have rules about how to take care of their body. If they want to do their math, they got to take care of the body, man. They have rules. Sun for an hour every morning, a liter of water, meditation. If you are not bringing your body with you, man, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you. Your body is designed to help you create. Your body is not even designed to help you heal, because there's nothing wrong with you. Even if you're sick, you're still well. Yes, it is. We got a lot of Australians actually in my community. YouTube friends is the discount code. So usually it's available to everybody. YouTube friends, to the link in my bio. Let me drop it in here, actually. I can drop it in YouTube. So we talk about the body, and I think that gets us to module 3. Module 4 is finances and business. I'm retired. I used to be a finance girly. I'm also a Marxist. We gotta talk about you guys making money, because we're adults. And I'm not here to
Yeah, like let's do some reprogramming on your worth.
man. Your worth, nothing wrong with your worth. Your worth is fine. Now, what you do need to stop acting like is a slave. And you need some pro tips from a girl who used to work for a Marxist who used to work for a venture capitalist. Raise your hand if you're afraid to charge for your art. What books will I recommend? There's a book called Art and Fear. Can't get over it. Anyone afraid to charge for their art? Anyone afraid to charge money because it feels unethical? Harriet Tubman would have something to say to you about that, for sure. That's the way. Congratulations on everyone congratulate Jordan on their last year at uni. Charging feels like a commodification of what I love. I'm about to light your ass on fire. Ready? I could go on. I could teach this for. I could talk about this for a year. I could talk about this for a year straight, but I'm going to do it quickly and crudely. So there's a question. I feel like I'm commodifying what I love. One, you are, and that sucks, and that's not your fault. That's not your fault. But what's the T? People need your work, and you need to survive. Now, that's basic. Everyone says that. That's at the level of truism. Now, what would a Marxist say? I feel like I'm commodifying what I love, and so therefore I feel wrong for selling and charging. I don't know how to charge, or I don't charge enough for my art. Buried inside this, we are subjects of capitalism. We are workers. Never to ever be at the top, unless we marry into it, which we likely won't. We are subjects and workers and slaves. All of us. Alex, everything in my mind is colonized. Son. Now, the ruling class. Thank you. Minka, that means a lot. Thank you very much. The ruling class, the Jeff Bezoses, the you know what I'm saying? Those guys, they have been telling us this whole time. No, we feel, as subject to them, we feel the pressures of, how do I say this? We feel the pressures of being alive in society from a financial perspective. Everything is expensive. Everything feels dangerous. Everything is dangerous. Everything is white supremacy. Everything is patriarchy in our society. That's true. Everything is expensive. Healthcare is expensive. Food is expensive and poisonous, et cetera, and so forth. Everything costs money. Everything has been privatized and everything is expensive because the race towards profit, the global race towards profit is on the backs of workers. And so we have to finance their profit with our decreased wages and increased rates of productivity. So we're exhausted. So we feel the pressures of living in that society. And so in that society, as subjects of that system, objects of that system, we feel the pains of the marketplace, that it's dangerous. And that's true. However, the people who are controlling that system with completeness, the ruling class, the owners of the means of production, are lying to you when they say, oh, all I did was have an idea and then it got successful. What they are not telling you, they are lying. They are omitting the truth constantly. And they are omitting the truth through lawyers and marketing and PR and the CIA and the et cetera. Overt, covert operations, billion-dollar marketing schemes, lawyers, attorneys, lying, murdering people, war, concealing the fact that it's not just Jeff Bezos had an idea to sell a book. What happens is that the ruling class controls the means of production. What does that mean? They own the rainforest. They own all of the boats. They are in charge of every single worker, removing the raw materials from the boats and putting them in trucks. They control our lives. They control law, government. They control the geoeconomic chessboard. The economic, geopolitical chessboard. Jeff Bezos has an important seat at the Pentagon, and he owns the Washington Post. And here you are, a slave of that system, thinking, believing that you're just like Jeff Bezos. If you put your little watercolors on Etsy.com for $15, your little watercolor postcard for $15 that you don't have the courage to produce because you think that you're going to be like Jeff Bezos if you sell $15 to do what? To barely have a chance to pay your rent? How many of you are in student loan debt, but you're also afraid that you're going to be some sort of bad person for selling? That's madness. It's worse than madness, however. You have internalized the hegemony that keeps you oppressed as your own ethics and your own morals. That's wild. Alex accusing my mind of being colonized is the craziest thing I've heard in a very long time. That's wild. You have internalized the rules that keeps you shackled as your morality, meaning that you have believed the lie. You've drunk the Kool-Aid, and you are, even though it is impossible for you to ever escape slavery and the system of capitalism, you self-govern yourself that way in the small areas where you have not only a choice for your own life, but you have the freedom given by God secretly through the Holy Spirit to help other people. And yet you say, no, that's wrong. What would Harriet Tubman say? Imagine a slave back in the day in American slavery. Anyone heard of American slavery? Imagine back then when Black people were 3/5 a man. Remember that? Back in slavery, in American slavery, Black people you weren't allowed to read. It's off limits, illegal, punishable by death to learn how to read. Imagine, slave, being given the opportunity just to read, not freedom, but just to read. And then saying, oh, I'm doing something wrong. This is bad for me to learn how to read. That's what you sound like. Having a hard time. You feel conflicted about putting up your little Patreon for $10 a month. You need to touch grass. You need to touch grass. Your mind has been colonized. Not mine. How do you resist the commodification process? It is true that you are commodifying something that you love, and that's a terrible feeling. It will always feel terrible. It's not supposed to not feel terrible. It's terrible and it's exhausting and it's unnatural. It's a sin, according to God. It's a species-wide, society-wide sin. But how do you stick to integrity, man? Listen to James Baldwin's essay, The Artist's Struggle for Integrity. How do you stay in it? Man, I know you got to pay rent and child support. But, man, you better make sure that art that you share is not about you and it's about everyone else. You have a shot to send out a grenade, man, you get one shot with Harriet Tubman to get free, man. You better make sure that it's about other people and that you're not masturbating inside of your own talents. Why do I think that the crave for art is stronger than ever before? Because we're under spiritual attack, and evil mounts to keep us slaves spiritually. But God will always win. God is the creator. And I believe that the world is being taken over by everything artificial, but humans are not artificial and can never be. And I believe that if you put someone in a corner, they're not going to stay there. At least that is not the prominent narrative within the epigenetic memory of our species. All of us are descendants of survival. All of us are descendants of survivors under outrageous circumstances. The slaves that did not jump and survived the Middle Passage. The immigrant family who decided to move to another country to have a better life and turned their entire life into a sacrifice for the future bloodlines. From the people who migrated down from the cold climate to the warm climate for some whatever reason, for some evolution shit. I don't know what to call it. By the little sperm that could. All of us survived. And so the question is, why do I think art is so important? Man, because God is the creator, man. And these slave masters of ours, Jeff Bezos, Sam Altman, etc., they don't pray to God, and they don't listen to the Holy Spirit. But all we have to do, they're investing billions of dollars to have an artificial intelligence. It's wild. Because all we have to do is kind of hang out, maybe clean up our eating, meditate for 10 minutes and pray, have a crazy dream, do some yoga, and then we got everything we need. They're paying billions to have the artificial intelligence. I mean, so I think that's why art is becoming more important, because this is a fight, and God passes support and help to people in mysterious ways, and God is the creator. So he's saying, listen to me and let's go. We have to fight. There's a revolution happening. That's my answer to that question. Did that make sense? I ate that one. I cooked those last 10 minutes. So there's a portion in summer school where we talk about finances and business making, turning your art into a business with integrity. And then there's the final module is systems of creative maturity, using AI with integrity, content, marketing, being online, everything about adult art making. I want to be an artist. Man, you already are, man. Move on, move forward. Okay, let's go. You already are. I don't care if you don't have shit to show for yourself. You already are an artist. I don't care if you haven't created anything for 20 years. You already are an artist. And I do not believe you when you even say, sorry, I went. I have a, you don't have to buy it, of course, but I have an Amazon playlist where I have my bookshelf there. You don't have to buy them there. I make like 15 cents per book. Every little bit helps, but you don't have to. But every book that I would recommend about creativity is in my link in bio on my TikTok, every single book. But I don't believe it when you guys say, oh, I'm not an artist. Oh, I'm stuck. Man, you believe in yourself. You don't have the courage to even say it out loud. Man, not in my classroom and not in my watch, man. We're gonna get over that, man. I don't give a shit. If you don't have anything except a scribble on a napkin, man, I don't give a shit. You think God thinks that's not important, man? Get out of my face. Playing around with me. Talking about, oh, I'm not an artist because I don't have an artist residency somewhere. Man, the artist residency is full of pedophiles. So we don't want you there anyway. Let's go. Start your own shit. Be creative. Go now. Like do your own. You have it. You don't need to be perfect because the God is unconditionally loving. I don't know what your business question is. Anyone thinking about joining? Imagine that this is the free shit. This is the free shit. I think you guys have the sense that I'm not going to waste time. How was the move? Man, it was exhausting and traumatic, but I'm here now and I'm happy. Thank you for asking. So there's the link, Life is Art School, Summer School, June 15th, Monday. If you type YouTube Friends, you get 15% off. There's a payment plan if you need that. I ate on that one. I ate that last one. Y'all, you entertain your fears entirely too much. You entertain your fears entirely too much. Oh, I'm so glad. Thank you. Yeah, I would help I think there's an offer to be a supporter or a fan or something like that. Later in the summer, I'm going to be building out my YouTube offering a little bit more, adding some structure around it. But for now, the support really does help. I am a one-woman show. Well, I have been, and now I hired a bunch of support. I hired a team to help me, and they make more from me than I do at the moment because that's what's required. Any support you can help by way of a repost, by way of a like, by going through and subscribing to my YouTube channel to boost me in the algorithm. It means a lot. A small gift helps a great deal. A member support helps a lot. But if you're thinking about it, man, jump into summer school. I promise you, this is my assignment from God. Everyone across the finish line. I am in Mexico, so Central Time. You get replays to all of the live workshops, but the group work is there's staggering times to catch different time zones. How many layers should be unveiled? How many? That's a good question. That's a question between you and God. That's my answer. That's a question that you have to answer. And you're going to have to learn it the hard way. You're going to have to see, is that how far I want to go? The question is, how much should I unveil within my art? That's a question that I cannot answer. That's not fixed. That is something, and I always say this, that your art, more than your art is craving the answer to a question, your art needs you to be the one answering the question, in as long as it's you and art itself answering. Your art is waiting for you to be obedient, to realize that you have already graduated from the student era of creativity, and now it's asking for your autonomy, for your stewardship, for your sense of responsibility, for your unique perspective. Thank you. Thank you. The little flower crown is cute. Thank you. Any more final questions? This has been a 2-hour live. This is good. Anyone thinking about joining? We start on Monday, and enrollment closes on Monday. Discount code for 15% off. You can pay in installments. I think it's very affordable for what it is. Although no shame if you don't want to invest in that now. Any little bit helps though. But yeah, I mean, the vibe is, so we talked about the modules, but a big huge part of the thing is group work. You know, everyone has, I have 3 TAs, and everyone has a TA will be kind of gently checking in on their progress, making sure they feel supported, answering questions, creating small group activities in my community Discord, where there's probably 100 artists in there talking about finances, questions, hanging out, meditating, creating workshops. There's people, who create. There's like somebody, I think Angie is still in here. She created a painting workshop for the community, and people were going in there with their kids. Someone else did a fascia and meditation workshop. Somebody leads Pilates and animal flow for the group. So part of the summer structure is we get into kind of groups, and we do group meetings and group accountability. But you also have access to the Discord, where there's a bunch of other artists doing a bunch of other things, reading books together, sharing your work. A requirement, we have 2 cookouts a month, or 2 cookouts throughout the course of the summer, 1 a month, where everyone does a little show and tell, show your work, be vulnerable, practice being in the arena, but then everyone else on the call is required to help you in some way. Required to help you in some way. You need, I know a good editor. Oh, I have an advice. I can help you with this. Or I know a guy you should meet. Or you need a guitarist. I know a good one. You need a good photographer. You need a good media person, a new videographer. I know a person. Here's the advice I want to give you. Here's the encouragement I want to give you. It's a cookout. Come fix you a plate. It's a Black people thing. Summer school is for people who just want to take their art seriously. That's all it is. They're sick of being stuck and they need encouragement. I think you can tell that I'm going to encourage you. I'm going to encourage your ass off, actually. But I want you to learn how to encourage yourself. There's no reason not to be encouraged. There's no reason. There's certainly not a reason to be listening to your fears at the extent that you do. Lily, how you doing? You're on the tail end. It's called Creative Fire. That's the book. It's called Creative Fire. Oh my God, is that Robbie? Oh my God, Robbie, the performance artist. Thank you. Yeah, if you're in my class, drop a review, even if it's not flattering. If you've been one of my students, one of my clients, let me know. Let the group think. Anyone thinking about joining? If you're thinking about joining one of my workshops and you have a question for someone, drop it in YouTube and they'll tell you the truth. Please don't lie to them. I know. Remind you of what? Reefy is out. endless compassion, but zero tolerance for someone who wishes to come into a space and just disrupt it, and they have under the illusion that that'll make them feel better. I mean, a troll is a troll, but it's like, damn, what are you doing? We're all strangers here trying to help and trying to find community across the internet, parasocial community on the internet, and it's already hard enough and fake enough, and now you're over here trying to ruin it. That's wild. Yeah, do it. How do we share our art and find community here? I'm not sure your question, Afro Nerd. You're always thinking about joining. Yeah, do it. I promise you, I am instructed by God to get this work done. I promise you that. Something else that I struggle to sell how much is in my courses. I think if you've been in my courses, you can support that, at least in YouTube. I don't know if there's anyone who's taken my class here on TikTok, but on YouTube, there's people. You got to get in there, man, with the people, man. You got to stop creating alone because you're not alone. Every time I do this, let's say in the villain challenge where I do this exercise that I did with you, what's the high vision of your art? Everybody has the same high vision. And every time I'm reading everyone's assignments, just like a professor, I'm reading everything and I'm studying them. I'm giving people feedback because this is my full-time job. It's just not a course. It's my job. It's my assignment from God. Do you guys know people like that? Do you know people like that? Who it's like, God told me to help you, and so I will. You deserve to be around people who are like that. One, your art deserves that. You're starved of it. Let me help you. I have bills to pay, but I promise you, I'm here to help you. More than that, though, be in the room with the other artists who are on what you're on. It's not just like, okay, you're feeling weird and special and stuck in a specific way, but you have this good idea, but you have a question. And then all of a sudden you're going to be in a room where everyone's perfect and good and different. Than, everyone who vibes with me is just like you. And right now, the majority of the people are people who've been through my classes already. So they know what I'm on, and they're ready to help you because that's the rule here. Robbie, who took the villain challenge and is one of my one-on-one clients for a while, said, where is it? Bless your past, my creative warrior allies. That's the vibe in my classroom, man. Let's go, man. Let's go. They're going to help you. Angie says the same thing. I'm looking at the Discord right now. Everyone's like, she's like, how's everyone doing? Someone else was about to move and was terrified. And then everybody was like, man, it's okay. I'm looking for a job. Here's my resume. Okay, I'll pass it around. You deserve to be around people to make you feel less alone because that's my objective, so that you will not feel alone, man. You need people around you. Stop doing this shelter in place shit. Believe in the lie of the devil that you're alone, man. Nah, man, we're all on the same shit. And what if you find a creative collaborator? What if you find someone that you like, is the apples to your oranges or whatever, the salt to your pepper? What if your art needs a person and then boom? Was there a question? You'd have to be part of the workshop. What's the question? Where can I join the Discord? The Discord is link in my bio. That's not true, Afro Nerd. You could join. There's a summer school, which is a very involved, rigorous summer school. Or you can just join the Discord, which is $30 a month. Many artists are lone wolves and don't know what it is to be in a room with trusted ally who actually knows what the fuck is going on with art, your specific path, and how to move forward with God. You can join the Discord, but the workshops that I'm talking about are summer school. We're going to get a lot of work done. And you're gonna have a lot of fun. We're gonna have a lot of fun. My like spring fall semester classes are rigorous, but this was meant to be. You get the same vibes from me, but it's more community hangout, inspiration, support versus like deep rigorous shadow work. Thank you, Rogue Smith. I'm intense, but the work is not intense, and the villain challenge is intense. There's assignments every week. But this is more, it's not intense. It's meant to be fun. It's meant to be a slower. It's so good to see you, Rob. It's really good to see you. Godspeed. I will be intense because that's my level, but there's no it's more like momentum and support is the shift. My villain challenge is intense. It's intense. But summer school is like momentum, support is the vibe. So you get lectures from me that are going to inspire you and hopefully shift your perspective a lot. But the supporting structure around it is community, accountability, sharing your work, it being iterative, practicing, that kind of a thing. Will I do summer school again? Maybe next summer. Yeah, that's the vibe, Lily. A cookout, a summer cookout where everyone just comes, hang out, maybe get you a glass of wine, share your art, and then someone else supports it. That's what I want. I'm glad you're doing it, Lily. Anyway, any last more round of questions? Where do we put our artist statement? Do we learn to make portfolios? Not portfolios per se, no. But I don't know what you mean. Where do you put your artist statement? My artist statement, nobody sees. It's kind of interwoven into my work. Sometimes if people ask for it, I'll send it. But in the class, you submit it to me. But I have a video on this. My most recent YouTube video is all about this. You're very welcome, Jordan. I'm happy to be here. It's my pleasure. No, you didn't disturb at all, Lily. Thank you, Rogue Smith. I really appreciate it. What do you? Hey, Rowan, how you doing? Rowan is in my artist community. What do you believe is the unified lesson that an artist must learn to break through into a new heights? Selflessness. That there's something that your art taught you about other people. There's something that your life taught you about other people, about the universal experience. And can you have the courage to relate to that story from the universal perspective rather than the selfish perspective? For example, in my life, I have suffered incredible grief. Like I said earlier, everybody in my immediate family is gone. No more Aldriches left. Under the perspective of fear, that story is, why did that happen to me? I can't believe this happened to me. I've grieved so much. If I keep going, and I will, as long as I'm alive, I'll keep going. You go further along enough, then you see, man, why did I grieve? Why did I grieve so much? Then your heart starts to say something like, man, we all are grieving so much. It's not my grief. It becomes grief with a capital G. And then I suddenly become a technology, a player, enlisted in the fight to help other people bear the weight of grief because I now understand it. And now I can talk about it. And now I can write about it. I just like a caterpillar becomes a butterfly. I become someone who can help somebody else. And if you learn how to relate to your art in that way, man, nothing can hurt you. What are your thoughts on art and age? Society makes me feel like I've missed some sort of window. You know damn well what I think about that. That's absurd. You haven't missed anything. You haven't missed anything except a Diddy party and an invite to the Epstein Island. I promise you. You haven't missed shit. Your life has gone exactly as it's meant to. Hold on, guys. I gotta go get my phone charger. I'll be right back, YouTube. Your life has gone exactly as it's meant to. Get to work processing, studying heroically what you have learned in your quote unquote old age. You're only comparing yourself to that isolated, narrow group of tech bros or whatever who got started at 25 and got lucky. What would you tell your child who isn't popular in high school but hasn't gone to college yet? That shit is fake. More importantly, again, you engage your fears entirely too much. Entirely too much. Fuck those people and them rules. For real. All right. I think we're slowing down. Thank you, guys. Again, here's the link to join summer school. Code YouTube Friends for 15% off. Last day to sign up is on Monday. You're welcome. May the force be with you. Every other week. Lily, you should be getting a calendar soon. See you guys later.